Good morning, friend. I want to welcome you to my kitchen. Today, we have a very, very busy day. I have 10 recipes that I want to make. I've done nothing to prepare for today's big cooking day, other than my dishwasher is empty, so that when I make dirty dishes, I can just directly put stuff in my dishwasher. I did kind of tidy up my kitchen a little bit so that it would be a pleasant place to be for the next little bit. But when it comes to actually prepping, I haven't done anything other than I got the groceries with you all yesterday. Now, today's goal is to fill my freezer with tons of protein that is already prepped, marinating, and ready to go, so that this summer, when I don't know what I want to cook, I have decision fatigue, I don't have time to cook, I can just go into my freezer, look and see what I've prepped on this day, look and see what sounds good, ask Josh what sounds good. I can pull something out, let it thaw in my refrigerator overnight. It's gonna then marinate all day. And then all I have to do is turn on the grill, throw it on the stovetop, put it in the slow cooker, and then dinner will be done and ready relatively quickly. Now, all we're gonna be doing is the proteins today. I wanna show you how I prep proteins so that they're ready in my freezer. When it goes to actually cooking them, I will probably make a veggie side and some sort of like pasta or rice or potato or something like that. Today we're focusing on the main protein, and my goal is to get 10 different marinades, but I know that we are going to be making way more dinners worth than just these 10. So I have here 2 different burgers. We're going to make a bacon cheeseburger patty that's going to be prepped and ready, an Asian style burger, and we're probably going to have burgers for dinner tonight because the other day I made some homemade hamburger buns and I've been really in the mood for some homemade burgers. So we will actually prep these. I'll put some in the freezer and then one of them we'll make for dinner tonight. We're gonna do 2 different steak recipes. We're gonna make some steak kebabs. We are going to do a chimichurri flank steak. We're gonna do 2 pork recipes. I have just like this really good savory pork chop marinade recipe we're gonna make, a honey mustard pork chop. We're gonna do 4 different chicken recipes. We're gonna do spicy Korean kebabs, cilantro lime chimichurri chicken thighs, sun-dried tomato chicken thighs, and Greek Parmesan chicken thighs. I chose the cuts of meat that are my family's favorites. So if you see me using chicken thighs, but your family prefers chicken breast or leg quarters or drumsticks, use those instead. I chose pork chops because I haven't actually made pork chops in forever, and that just sounded good to me. But if your family prefers pork tenderloin, use that instead. So there's gonna be a lot of creative freedom with this, but I wanted to try some new different recipes that I've never tried before. I had Josh look over all of these, and he said this one stands out to him the most. So he actually wanted me to double this recipe, and I'm gonna get at least 1 out of each of these recipes, but some of them we're gonna make 2 because I bought 2 flank steaks. So I'm probably gonna pick 2 of these recipes, and we're gonna marinate the flank steak in 2 different ways. So you can really get creative with this, but I like to be able to set some time aside to messy up my counters, and we're gonna be using a lot of the same ingredients for a lot of these dishes. And so I can pull the ingredients out once, I can get a cutting board knife out one time, messy it up for multiple different dishes. And so in the long run, it's gonna save me a lot of time and effort and mental thinking when it comes to what's for dinner in the coming months. Now, I have not done anything to prepare for this, so I don't know what order I'm gonna go in. I know that my burger is still thawing just a little bit, so I think what we're gonna do is start with our steak recipes. And we will just check one after the other off. And I'm gonna do things a little bit different than I normally do when it comes to how I'm gonna prepare some of these for the freezer, and I'm excited to take you along for that ride. These written recipes will be linked down in the description box if you are wanting to try any of them yourself. Now, something that I'm gonna do different that I've never done before is I am actually going to be making up the kebabs before I even freeze the protein. Normally, when I prep a protein for kebabs in the summer, all I do is dice up the meat and then I skewer the kebabs closer or like right before I put it on the grill. My goal is to make my life easier. So I want to have this step already done. And I'm gonna be freezing some of my marinated meats in these glass containers with a snap lid. Some of them are gonna go in Ziploc bags like I normally do, but I wanted to try this new technique and see what it's like to freeze in my marinated meats in glass as opposed to plastic Ziploc bags. I freeze usually casseroles and things like this, but never a protein that's being marinated, and I wanna see how I like it, and I'll keep you guys up to date on that. So I think what I wanna do before I cut my steaks, these are 4 beautiful steaks, which is gonna get me 2 dinners worth plus 2 lunches. I think 1 steak would serve my family well for 1 dinner, but it's always nice to have a little bit of extra for the lunch the next day. So that's how I'm gonna prep most of these items. Enough for my family for dinner. We're a family of 3, and then at least 1 lunch the following day. The first recipe we are gonna make is an all-purpose steak marinade, and I am gonna make this marinade directly in my dish that I'm gonna freeze it in so that we save ourselves a dish, actually 2. So I haven't cut any meat yet, so I'm gonna make 2 of these. So I have 2 baking dishes because this is gonna be 2 separate dinners for me. I'm gonna make these at the exact same time. So my plan is 10 recipes, but we'll see how many meals we end up getting out of these 10 recipes. Next is lemon juice. Now this recipe has a lot of really unique, or not unique, all of the ingredients are very normal, but the combination to me is really unique. And the first time I made this steak marinade, I thought, I don't know if that is going to pair well together, but let me tell you, it is my favorite steak marinade, and I'm excited to have these in kebab forms this coming summer. I can serve this with rice, with potatoes, with pasta salad, with whatever sort of side sounds good that day. So the first thing I added was olive oil, and then I added lemon juice, then Worcestershire sauce, and then this right here is soy sauce. So the lemon juice and the soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce sounded like an interesting combination, but let me tell you, it is fantastic. Now we're gonna add some pepper. I have some onion powder here. This is from last year's onions out of the garden that I freeze dried and I just turned into powder over the weekend. This is some homegrown onion, or not onion, but garlic powder that I freeze dried over the weekend and powdered it up. And that's the first time using that. And then the herbs that we're gonna add in here is gonna be basil and parsley. So I'm gonna use my Green Goddess mix because that's got a little bit of everything in it. You can come in, Josh.
I wanted to get a sanity check.
Oh, for the...
I have 1 wall up, and I wanted to make sure it's not too high.
Okay, so Josh is working on the chicken coop. So I'm gonna pause, go take a look at the chicken coop, and we'll come back to this. Josh and I just spent about 15 minutes talking through the chicken coop. You guys will all get an update on that. We are now back to making this marinade. I had to look over what I've already added, and the last thing I need to add, or the last couple things I need to add is some salt. I'm gonna go a little bit conservative on the salt. This is some homemade garlic salt. It's green because it's actually with garlic scapes instead of the bulb garlic. So I put a little bit of that in there, and then we need to put a couple dashes of hot sauce. Now this hot sauce is totally optional here, but I like the little bit of zing and vinegar the Tabasco adds to it. And now our marinade is done. I'm just gonna give this a little bit of a mix. It smells so good already in here. Worcestershire sauce is probably one of my favorite cooking ingredients. And now we are going to prep our protein. So I'm just gonna move that out of the way. And then I'm gonna take these beautiful steaks, and I am gonna cut, because I'm gonna do kebabs, and these are gonna cook a little bit quicker on the grill than if I had left these whole steaks. So I'm gonna cut these bigger pieces of fat off, just because I don't really want those on our final kebab. But I'll keep the good marbling that's in here. And now I'm gonna cut these into some good size chunks. And I want this marinade to get all the way around this protein before I throw it into the freezer. So I'm going to cut these into cubes so that I can mix it up in the marinade before we skewer our kebabs. It's got a pretty big piece of fat there I'm gonna cut off. So if you hear sawing in the background, that is Josh working on the chicken coop. You probably can't hear that from here, but in case you can, that's what's going on. Now, if you make your own homemade chicken or beef broth, all the trimmings that I cut off the protein today, what I'm gonna do is throw these in a freezer bag. And I have a section in one of my deep freezers where I keep the beef and chicken trimmings. So next time I go to make beef or chicken stock, I can throw all of those trimmings in the stock pot so nothing goes to waste. So I don't have to worry about what I cut off today going to waste because it will end up in some beautiful beef and chicken stock next time I make it. So what gave me this idea to freeze in glass is I really wanted to skewer the skewered dinners right now. I didn't want to have to skewer them once I thaw this. And I thought if I freeze in these glass dishes, then they're not going to poke a hole in a Ziploc bag. So that's kind of what gave me the idea. And I would do all of these recipes in glass if I had enough of these glass dishes, but I don't. So I am going to do the rest in Ziploc bags, but for sure I wanted to save the dishes that I had lids to, these glass dishes, for these skewered dinner options. I think I'm gonna put 4 to 5 pieces per skewer. So I was just thinking, a nice thing about this, having 2 of the same thing like this, is I have the option to either pull one out, which would be a perfect serving size for my family for dinner, plus some lunch meal prep the next day. But say my parents were coming over to help me in the garden and I wanted to make them a dinner, instead of just pulling one of these out, if I still had both of them, I could pull both of them out. And that would be enough for more than just my family, which would be really, really convenient. Okay, so I only have 2 pieces left. So 2 of these skewers are gonna have 6 pieces on it. Then I can just get these in the marinade and we'll freeze them like that. When I pull these out, once they're thawed, I can just rotate them in the marinade and then each side can get well coated. Okay. Perfect. So here we have it, 2 dinners or 1 dinner, depending on if it's for my family alone or say I have friends or my parents over or something like that. So that feels fantastic. Oh, perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and cross this one off the list. And if you're wondering how I organize my recipes when I do these types of recipes, I don't think I've ever showed this before, is I just grab the ingredients list and I put what they are at the top. So I don't have to print off the whole recipe. I just copy and paste the ingredients list into a note on my computer. That way I'm getting just the ingredients, because especially when I'm just making marinades, I'm not needing directions on step by step by step. It's just mixing stuff in a bowl or putting stuff in a blender, and I can save on paper. I am someone that likes to have a printed recipe, and that way I can do that with using a little less paper and a little less ink. So I can get multiple recipes on a page because I do print double-sided as well. So I am gonna go ahead and I think just to make it visually more easy for me, I'm going to cross off this one, because I now know that I've done that one. So when I'm searching for the next recipe, I can just find the recipes easier because I'm gonna have more and more crossed off. So the next recipe I think I'm gonna do is we're gonna do the second flank steak recipe. This is going to be a chimichurri flank steak. We're gonna do two different versions of chimichurri. We're gonna do a flank steak chimichurri that's a more traditional chimichurri recipe, and then which usually has parsley, oregano, and red wine vinegar. But then we're also gonna make a chimichurri that is a cilantro lime chimichurri, and we're gonna do chicken thighs with that. So that's gonna be really, really good. I think because when I bought my flank steak at Costco, it came with two. And I think I'm gonna do one of these flank steaks in the traditional chimichurri, and then the second one, we're gonna do the cilantro lime chimichurri with chicken and flank steak. That's another tip. If you're already making a marinade like I did for that first steak recipe, if you wanna switch things up, you only want the recipe with one type of protein, switch up the type of protein and you can change the dinner when it comes to actually cooking it. So I'm gonna have, some of these marinades are gonna have two different kinds of protein, some are gonna have one kind of protein. But if you want more variety in what you have in your freezer when you go to pull things, make the marinade with different proteins and you're gonna get more bang for your buck because you're getting out the ingredients only one time, but you're gonna get two different types of dinners out of it. So I just bought these new freezer bags. Costco now carries their own brand of freezer bags and I've never used them before. So when I was there shopping with you all, I thought I'd try them and we can try them out together. So I'm gonna pull out to start 3 of these because I'm gonna go ahead and label, oh, they're an interesting shape. So they're a different shape than a traditional freezer bag. And it looks like they actually could sit flush because they have like a little kind of bottom on the end. So that's interesting. So, oh, look at that. They actually stand up on their own. Okay, so they were, I think, a couple cents cheaper per bag than a, what's the brand? Ziploc, so I thought I would try them. And so we're gonna find out together. So here, I've got 3 bags because I thought I would do, since I'm labeling stuff, I'm gonna put chimichurri, and I always put the type of meat and the cut because I don't like to just put chicken. If it's a chicken recipe, I wanna put what cut it is because depending on what cut is probably gonna depend on how I end up cooking it. And then because one of these flank steaks is going to be the cilantro lime chimichurri, I'm gonna go ahead and label that now. And I'm gonna do one that's gonna be flank steak and one that is going to be chicken thighs. And then I should put the date on here, which is going to be 6/25. I don't need to put the date or anything like that. If I just put 6/25, that should be good. So I have these bag holders, but with these new Costco bags, I don't even know. I guess probably when you are, you know, putting stuff in it, they probably would have a tendency to tip on you. So it's probably good that I still use the bag holders. So this is the chicken. I'm gonna try to keep these organized. I just washed up a ton of herbs that we're gonna need for a couple different recipes, at least the next 2, because I'm gonna do the traditional chimichurri first, and then because a lot of the same ingredients are going to be in the cilantro lime one, we're gonna do that one next. I'm gonna get out my juicer because we're gonna need that in just a second. So I got my food processor out. If you don't have a food processor, but you have a blender, you could use that as well. And I am going to also pull out a bowl. I don't have a compost bowl yet because I haven't had to add anything into a compost bowl. So I'm gonna set this here. And I've washed up green onions, parsley, and cilantro. And the first thing I'm gonna chop up in here is a couple green onions. Now this is not traditional in chimichurri green onions, but I like the flavor it adds, so I add it. And then I'm just gonna take a huge chunk of parsley. We're gonna add that. You can use chimichurri as a sauce after you cook your steak. You could cook your steak up and then make chimichurri and put it on the top, but I love using it as a marinade itself. So that's what we're doing today. I have a ton of garlic here that I thawed so we can use it for multiple different recipes today. I have some of our garlic salt I'm gonna add in there. 2 good splashes of red wine vinegar, a good quality olive oil, and 2 pinches of pepper flakes. Maybe just 1 because I wanna make sure everyone in my family enjoys the heat level on it. And then I have 2 shallots here. You can use just regular red onion or white onion if you want, but I'm using these shallots merely because these shallots need to be used up. And I think that because they have a little bit of sweetness to them, that will actually add a nice flavor. So I've got 2 little ones and I don't want them to go to waste, and I can tell they are telling me they want to be used. So this is their perfect destiny. Get this into my compost bin. And at this point, you can make this as chunky or as fine as you want. I'm gonna go somewhere in the middle. You know, I probably went a little bit more on the fine side. And as I was blending this, I was thinking, how good would this sauce be on those kebabs? If I grilled up those kebabs with all that flavor on the steak and then put this on the top, oh my goodness, how good would that be? That's perfect. Doesn't need any more vinegar, doesn't need any more salt. I absolutely love the freshness of chimichurri. So I'm gonna put probably 2/3 of that. I'm actually gonna save that, and I'm just gonna put that in the fridge so we can enjoy that later. Because I think that amount of chimichurri on this steak is gonna be more than enough once I kind of mix it around. Oh, you know what? Maybe I need all of it. Yeah, I think I need all of it because I need it to be on this side too. All right, we've got now 3 main proteins done at this point. Chimichurri flank steak, ready to grill this summer. I just rinsed my food processor out and we're just gonna jump right into the next recipe because it has almost all the same ingredients with just a few tweaks. And I'm excited to taste the difference to see if I have a preference. Now I'm gonna put in quite a bit of cilantro. So if you are not a cilantro fan, maybe this recipe wouldn't be for you, but the last one would be because it is so good. I'm even gonna put some of the stems in there. I'm doing 2 different proteins for this, so I'm gonna put a little bit more than I put the last time. I'm gonna put 4 green onions this time, so that's all my green onions that I have here. And then I'm gonna do 4 shallots. These shallots are gonna be the most tedious part of this whole prepping day. I absolutely love shallots. If you've never had a shallot before, I did not grow up eating shallots. I don't think my mom ever bought them, or if she did, I have no memory of it. But I found them as an adult and I love them, but they are kind of tedious. And they do have a very kind of sweet onion flavor. Even though they look like a small red onion, to me, they do not taste like a red onion. They're so good. But most good things in life come with a little bit of work behind it too. So they take just a second to peel. Worth the effort though. And I have 2 compost bowls going. I have compost bowl that's gonna go in my composter in my kitchen. I have a kitchen composter, and then I guess the second bowl is not a compost bowl, it's a chicken bowl. So like the stems of the parsley and cilantro, my chickens will eat that, but they will not eat onion peels. So I like to have 2 separate bowls going so that, and like the lime peels, my chickens won't eat that, but I can put that in my composter. So the 2 main differences between the last recipe and the one I'm making now, we're using cilantro instead of parsley, and then instead of red wine vinegar, we are using lime juice. So this is probably not a traditional chimichurri, and I don't even know if it should be called a chimichurri, but that's what we're making. Maybe if you have a better name for it, we could rename it. I guess we could probably just call it cilantro lime chicken or beef, because that's basically exactly what it is. My mother-in-law makes a cilantro lime chicken that is so good. And I haven't had that in forever. That's so funny. We're basically making cilantro lime chicken right here. So I'm gonna put some red pepper flakes in here, not too many, a good spoonful of garlic, black pepper, our garlic scape salt, a good quality olive oil, and I'm gonna need a little bit more oil than that. Okay, I'm gonna give that a taste. So good. I think I put a little bit more pepper flakes in there. Hopefully that was just the bite I had, because that's got quite a bit of heat to it. Ooh, that's spicy. Okay. I think it was just that bite I had. Hopefully that's not too spicy for my family, but that is delicious. I can't tell which one I like better because they taste very different. Even though there's only 2 ingredients that are different, they look exactly the same, but they taste completely different. I'm gonna put half of this chimichurri in one bag. I have not prepped the chicken yet, so the chicken's gonna end up going in here, and then this is for our flank steak. Things like this that look so similar to the last recipe, this is why it's so important that you label your bags, because I always think I'll remember that I know what's in my freezer, but I never do when I go to actually use it. What I'm gonna do now, because I think it's gonna be the most efficient way to get the rest of these done, is I am going to go ahead and label all of my bags. I'm gonna wipe down my counter here real quick. And then we are going to prep all of the chicken at one time so I can get all the chicken into labeled bags, and then I will be done dealing with chicken and pork. I guess we're still gonna need to make our burger patties, but I'm not gonna put those in bags. You'll see how I'm gonna package those up. So I've got my recipes here. I've got my bags here. I'm always trying to think, how can I get in this kitchen as efficiently as possible? And I think this is gonna be the next thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and cross off the chimichurri flank steak because we got that done. We're not quite done with the cilantro lime chicken, but I got the bag done. You know what, I think I'm gonna just cross that off because as soon as I put the chicken in here, that will be done. That way I'm not trying to label it. The next one I'm gonna go ahead and label, and Josh asked for 2 of these because he thought it just sounded so good. It's gonna be a sun-dried tomato chicken. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait for this one. And again, I'm gonna put thighs and $6.25. So I'm thinking that I would probably serve this one with either some like roasted potatoes or some pasta salad, or even I could grill this up or I could chop it up and make a pasta. I don't know, we'll see. The possibilities are endless. I just love this as a jumping off point for getting my creative juices flowing. So I'm not gonna cross this off because I haven't made it yet, but I'm just gonna put a little X next to it so that I know I labeled this. And I have 2, 6 things of chicken thighs. How many chicken recipes am I doing? 1, 2, 3. I thought I was doing 4. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do, that would be 1. So I have 2. I'm trying to think if I'm gonna do 1 of each. I'm gonna do as much as chicken as I bought, basically. I didn't plan this out perfectly. I knew what recipes I was gonna make, but I just grabbed a bunch of chicken at the store and was like, I think that's gonna be enough. Okay, let me just take a second and get these labeled. Okay, all my bags are labeled. So because I bought enough chicken, I am going to do 2 of each of the chicken marinades that are gonna go in here. One of the other chickens is gonna be a skewered chicken, so it's gonna go in a pan. But I'm excited that I bought enough chicken that I can get 2 of each, because that's just 2 more dinners that we will get that was not accounted for. So for the chicken, I need to go through, and I do like to kind of cut off any, these bags are interesting because you kind of have to break that seal a little bit where they are fused together at the bottom. Just like that. So what I was saying is I like to kind of cut off any extra pieces of fat or anything like that, kind of like I did with the beef, but I like to do that with chicken as well. And so that is a little bit tedious and time consuming. So I wanted all my bags ready to go so that I can just get, once I've cut the chicken and gotten the pieces off I want to get off, I can just plop them right into these bags. And then these are the pork chops. I'm going to get the pork chops in here. And then I need this dish because we're going to put our chicken in here that are going to be in kebab form. Okay. Now, I am going to admit that this is probably my least favorite part, but it's worth it to me. I have sometimes skipped this step and I do regret it when I do. And so I try to take the time just to remove any excess pieces of fat and make sure there's no pieces of bone. Sometimes, during the butchering process, it's not perfect. And so I do try to just take a quick look and just make sure that there's not going to be any crunchy bits that I don't want or any too fatty bits. So I'm using the majority chicken thighs because that is what my family loves. I love grilled chicken and I think thighs grill up beautifully. But if you don't like chicken thighs, go ahead and you can substitute chicken breast. When I do chicken breast, I like to cut them in half so that they're half as thick, if that makes sense. So not just in 2 pieces, but I like to kind of fillet them open. I have found that when I do grill chicken breast, I like them to be thin pieces so that they don't dry out as much, so that this thin end is about the same thickness as what would be the thick end. But if you cut in half, you can kind of get an even piece of chicken so that the thin end doesn't get overcooked and the thick end, properly cooked. Now, if you like to throw chicken or pieces of meat into a slow cooker, use whatever your family prefers for that. The kind of go-to proteins I like when I do a day like this is boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and then chicken breast when I cut them in half. I also like doing pork tenderloins. I didn't do any on this day because I wanted to do something a little different. So you're going to see we're going to do some pork chops, which is from the loin portion. I have never marinated pork chops whole before, so I'm kind of excited to see how this goes. I haven't actually cooked up any of those yet. So far, since this day has happened, I have made the chimichurri flank steak, and it was incredible. I cooked that up with you. So if you're interested in seeing how I incorporate these meals into my daily life, go ahead and consider subscribing if you're new, or if you've been here for a while, and you will see how just on different days I will incorporate these different meals. I do not cook these up one right after the other. These kind of are fill-ins, when I'm wanting some sort of grilled protein, and I can just go to my freezer, pull it out and have it thawed. Like currently right now, I have in my refrigerator, I pulled it out last night, I have the cilantro lime or the cilantro chimichurri chicken, in the fridge, and I plan to cook that up either today or tomorrow. And so this just gives me a lot of flexibility for meals in the future. So here are the pork chops. So like I said, if you're interested to see how I incorporate these meals into my life and how I can take the same marinade, even the same protein that's marinated the same, and cook it up completely different so it feels like a different meal, I will show you that in the future. This is my favorite part now. Once I have all the protein prepped, doing that part is not my favorite part. And that's why I kind of like to do it a bunch at a time, because then I can just get it done. And so here I'm done with these. So I'm gonna go pop these in the fridge. Just going to massage this around a little bit. So this is our chimichurri flank steak that's with cilantro lime marinade. And then this is our chicken thigh version of that. And I'm gonna make burgers tonight for dinner, but I'm not gonna freeze all of these because I think I'm gonna probably leave 2 of them out because we'll probably have them, I'm going to my mom's house to do a bunch of freezer meal cooking tomorrow. So never mind. I'm not gonna cook dinner tomorrow. I'm not gonna cook one of these, I should say, for dinner tomorrow. I'm gonna cook what I'm gonna cook tomorrow for dinner tomorrow, if that makes sense. Massage. Okay. 2 more things done. I already checked these off the list, so let's move on to the next thing. Let's go ahead and do the pork chops, because these are just one and done, and these are gonna be really, really easy here. I'm only doing 1 marinade per protein. For the savory pork chop marinade, we're gonna start with soy sauce. And I haven't put most of these ingredients away. The ones that need to be refrigerated, I put away, but the rest of them that didn't need to be refrigerated, I've just kept out because, again, we're using them for multiple recipes. Worcestershire sauce. And I'm just using the same 1/2 cup measure, and I'm just kind of eyeballing the proportions in this one measuring cup so that I'm not getting as much dirty. Now we're gonna put in a good amount of garlic in here. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, mustard. This is, I think, gonna be delicious. And that's it. Now I picked some pretty small pork chops because I am still learning to cook pork chops well. So I thought that these really thin ones would cook up really quickly on the grill, so I would be less likely to overcook them. And with a little bit of sugar in this recipe and the next recipe that we're gonna have with the pork chops, I'll be able to get a nice color on them, but not hopefully overcook them. This is gonna be delicious. How's it going out there, Josh?
It's all right.
Good. He said it's going all right if you can't hear him.
I got 1 side done.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So now I'm mirroring it to the other side.
So he said he's got 1 side done and now he's mirroring it for the other side. I just got 1 more recipe done. So far I have 2, 4, 6 main dinners completely done. And I'm about to have another one completely done. So this is gonna be honey mustard pork chops. This is one of Josh and I's favorite recipes for chicken, but I've never done it with pork chops before. And I'm actually gonna add an ingredient I don't normally add to this, and that's gonna be a little bit of apple cider vinegar, because I thought with the pork chops, a little bit of apple cider vinegar would be delicious. So in here, I've added oil and mustard. Now I'm just gonna add a splash of apple cider vinegar, and I think that will balance out the mustard and the honey really well. Josh is actually gonna go run downstairs and get me some honey because I am completely out of honey up here. Josh, it's a big 1 gallon. I have to refill a smaller thing of honey up here because I'm out. That's garlic. And add a pinch of red pepper flake, some oregano. Next, I'm gonna add some black pepper, and I just had to grind up a bunch of black pepper in my blender so that I would have it. I'm just waiting on the honey. And while I'm waiting on the honey, I'm gonna go ahead and jar up my black pepper because I completely ran out of crushed black pepper while we were making these marinades. So I think I'm just gonna pour it from this jar. Josh just brought this up for me. And I'm looking to do about equal parts mustard to honey. And this is some honey I bought from a local farmer or beekeeper. And maybe one day we'll be able to get our own honey from our own bees. But for now, I'm happy to support a local beekeeper. And I like to buy it in the 1 gallon jar because I get a better price and then I can just put it into a smaller jar in my kitchen. Now I have put this marinade on tenderloin, pork tenderloin, and grilled it, and that is delicious. So I think that it on these tiny pork chops is going to be just as delicious. I want to regroup. So we've got our pork done now. And so I could go ahead and cross both of those off the list. Now I think what I want to do is switch gears because I want to get my burger patties starting to freeze because I like to vacuum seal my burger patties and I need them frozen before I can do that. So my burger patties are ready to go now, or my ground beef is ready to go now. And we're gonna have burgers for dinner tonight. And I made some homemade hamburger buns that are in the freezer. So I need to pull those out of the freezer before I get going on the burger patties. We're gonna make 2 different types of burgers. I'm excited for these because I can eat them with, like me and my family, we can eat them with a bun, or I could eat them just a patty with cheese on them without a bun and just a bunch of garden fresh produce. And we have lots of options here. Okay, so let's start with the cheddar burger, because I think this is gonna be very interesting. I've never made a burger patty like this before, where you actually put mixings into the patty. So I've got 2 bowls here, and I'm gonna get my ground beef in each. I think I'm gonna do 3 pounds of each, so that would be, we'll see how many patties. I do like to make pretty good sized burgers, so I think I'm gonna do 3 pounds of each, so 6 pounds of ground beef total. The first burger we're gonna start with is the one we're gonna have for dinner tonight, I think. And I've got my 3 pounds of ground beef here. I need to grab out some cheese. I have never added cheese to a burger before like this. I always put the cheese on top, but I've seen at my local grocery store that you can actually buy burger patties that are prepped like this, and I find it very interesting. So we're gonna get cheese in there. So we're gonna try it out and see what we think. I'm gonna add a good amount of black pepper. I'm gonna add some of our garlic scape salt, 3 pinches because there's 3 pounds. And then a lot of recipes call to add bacon. I don't think I want to add bacon, but I found one recipe that said to add A1 sauce. And I love A1 sauce. I haven't had it in my house for years. And I thought, I am going to try it in burgers. So I probably put 2 or 3 tablespoons of A1 sauce in there. And then I think while my hands are still clean, I'm gonna go ahead and make up our Asian burger patty. So whenever I go to cook these, I'll make an Asian, like a spicy mayo slaw to go on top of this. And let's go ahead and get the ingredients in here. We're gonna put some pepper, some some garlic scape salt. And these are the ones that are gonna go in the freezer. This recipe calls for panko breadcrumbs. I don't like when my burgers have panko breadcrumbs, so I'm not gonna put that in there, but I am gonna put some hoisin sauce. So this is gonna be a little bit of a sweet burger. I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons in there. There we go. A little bit of soy sauce, garlic powder, ginger, onion powder, and it also calls for a tablespoon of sugar. I think I'm gonna leave that out. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and mix up these ingredients. And it also calls for 1 egg, but because I didn't add breadcrumbs, I'm not gonna add the egg either. I just chopped up, because I had it, 2 green onions and some cilantro, and I'm gonna get that mixed in there because I think that will just add a nice brightness of color and a delicious flavor. This is all mixed up beautifully, so I'm gonna go ahead and start making burger patties out of these burgers. And like I said, I like pretty decent size burger patties because they always shrink on the grill. So I always make them a little bit on the larger side because I don't always make sides when I make burgers. And so sometimes I just want to make sure one burger is nice and filling, like tonight, because I'm doing all this cooking. I may or may not throw some sweet potatoes in the oven. We might just have burgers tonight. And that's okay. These smell so good. That little bit of hoisin sauce in there, a little bit sweet. I could weigh these out, but I'm not doing that today. I was able to get 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 burger patties out of those 4 pounds. So I'm gonna go throw this in the freezer, and then I will be able to mix up the other burger mixture. Into the freezer, these go to flash freeze. 1 more cookie sheet, 2 more pieces of parchment paper, mix this up, and I think I can get probably 8 out of this as well. Ooh, there's a little bit of frozen ground beef in here. These smell so good. So I got 8 of these as well, and these are gonna go into the refrigerator. I think tonight I will only cook 4, so we can have dinner tonight, and then I have a very, very busy day tomorrow. So I'm actually thinking that maybe I will have just the patty for breakfast on the way to my mom's house as like a high protein way to like start my day. I think that would be good. And then, oh wait, I need to cook 6. What am I thinking? I'm gonna cook 6 of these tonight for dinner so that we can have dinner tonight. Each one of us can have dinner tonight. And then we can have one tomorrow if we want one tomorrow. They smell so good. I'm gonna put these in the fridge though. Even though eventually they're gonna need to go into the freezer. I probably should have put them on 2 different cookie sheets, one for the freezer and one for the fridge, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now because I really wanna get the rest of my recipes done. So here is my list. I got the Asian patties done, the bacon cheeseburgers minus the bacon, chimichurri, pork chops, honey mustard, cilantro lime. Okay, so we have 3 more. So I think let's do the kebabs next because that's gonna be the most labor intensive, and then the rest of them are gonna be really easy from here on out, basically. Well, I guess we have to blend up the sun-dried tomato. So that's gonna take just a second. I changed my mind. We're gonna do the sun-dried tomato one next. And I blended up my black pepper. I got that into a container. I have a little bit of black pepper left in here. And we're gonna go ahead and make the sun-dried tomato marinade in here. And there's actually a couple of these items I could just put back in the fridge, and I could grab my sun-dried tomatoes because I'm not going to need some of these items again. So we'll just get those put away. I'm going to need my ginger again. So into this blender, I'm going to put a good amount of garlic. I'm going to put all of these sun-dried tomatoes and some of the oil. Not all the oil, because there's, actually I'm gonna put all the oil in here because I need to get 1 more jar of sun-dried tomatoes out. I just remembered I don't need to go get the jar I have because I have a bunch of homegrown, home dehydrated sun-dried tomatoes in my freezer. I like to keep them in my freezer because I don't dehydrate them all the way. So they're still nice and soft. If you dehydrate them all the way, they become kind of like chips. So we're gonna get that in there. I'm excited to use those. This is the perfect application for that. Little bit more oil. I'm gonna put some of our garlic scape salt in there and red wine vinegar. And then I need to grab 2 bags of chicken. Add 2 good splashes of that in there. And then I'm gonna add my Green Goddess seasoning blend, which has pesto. It has basil and oregano and all those good things. So 2 big pinches of that, 2 bags of chicken, and blend. Okay, my friend, I wish you could smell this in here. It smells so good. That, oh my goodness. I'm gonna have Josh go taste that. I think I'm gonna have to dehydrate 4 times as many tomatoes this year out of the garden as I did last year, just to make this. This is basically like a sun-dried tomato pesto, but it obviously has quite a bit of vinegar in it and it has no cheese. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have Josh go taste this. I am so glad he asked for 2 batches of this because this is divine. Hey Josh, I have something for you to taste. Well, it's just, he said, oh good, I'm starving. It's just the marinade. I'm not even gonna tell you what it is.
Oh.
Okay, if I can get down here.
You're not gonna tell me what it is?
Just taste it. He's right here.
It smells vinegary. Wow, tomatoey, vinegary, very good.
That's the sun-dried tomato one. I think it's incredibly delicious.
Really good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doubling this one, right?
Yes, he asked if I'm doubling. I don't know if you can hear him.
I'm looking up into the sun at the moment.
You weren't as excited as I was excited. I thought it was.
It's very good. It's very good. I thought maybe you wanted me to like recognize something.
Oh no.
And so I was trying to analyze in that way.
Those are our most, well, there's some store-bought sun-dried tomatoes, but mostly it's our sun-dried tomatoes from the garden from last year.
Very cool.
All right, I'm gonna get back inside. I'm almost done.
I'm excited for that one.
He said he's excited. I don't know if you can hear him. He's working on the chicken coop. This is why I love trying new recipes. I even think this as a pizza base would be very good. Maybe half the amount of vinegar that I put in here. I might have to put one of these in some sort of like pasta dish. I think that would be so good. Like grill this up, make a Alfredo pasta, and then chop this sun-dried tomato chicken and serve it over the top of a cream-based pasta would be incredible. Okay, 2 more main dishes done. These next ones are gonna come together so fast because I don't need to blend anything or mix anything in a food processor. I just get to dump everything into the bag. If you watched the dinner that I made, where I made some Greek-inspired Parmesan chicken and I laid it over top of potatoes for a grandparents' dinner, this is basically that recipe. So I'm thinking that I'm going to put these over top of potatoes when they come out of the garden, and that would be a great way to use this up. This was a family favorite. That chicken got all gobbled up that night. Everyone loved it, and it's now a new family favorite. So I just added mustard, Worcestershire sauce, Parmesan cheese. I don't have any more of the garlic thawed, so I'm just gonna use garlic and garlic scape powder instead of my fresh minced frozen garlic. Then we've got garlic scape salt, black pepper, onion powder, our green goddess mixture, and oil. And the way I most likely will serve these is I will slice up potatoes, mix that with some garlic butter, put that in a baking dish, and then I will layer this chicken over top of it, and I will bake it in a really hot oven, and the chicken marinade and drippings will drip over the potatoes, and it makes a fantastic dinner. And or I could throw this on the grill, harvest some lettuce out of the garden, and have a beautiful salad with this grilled chicken on the top. Now, was I supposed to put lemon juice in here? I feel like I'm missing something. Yes, there needs to be an acid. And I forgot the lemon juice. And I could slice up a fresh lemon, but I think I'm just gonna do a little splash of lemon juice, and we're gonna call that good. So now these are done. Try to get as much of that air out of them as possible. Now we have one more recipe, and then we're gonna make dinner tonight. I need to wash up that blender because I need to blend up the next recipe. I'm just grabbing everything out that I need. We are going to make this recipe in the blender. So I did just rinse out my blender. We've already prepped the chicken, so we don't have to do that. And these are going to be some spicy Korean flavored chicken skewers, which I think is gonna be delicious. So I have an Asian pear here, and I'm just going to go ahead and roughly take the peel off. This is gonna add a lot of sweetness to this. I haven't eaten an Asian pear in a long time. We used to have an Asian pear tree at our last house. If you've been with me that long, you would remember that. And that pear tree did so well. Those pears never got buggy, and we would just go out there and eat pears right off the tree. If you've never had an Asian pear before, they're kind of like a mix between a pear and an apple. They have that pear flavor, but they have more of a crunch that you would expect from an apple. And I have some green onion tops here that I chopped from another recipe, and I'm going to get those just chopped up a little bit more. And I'm gonna use that as the onion. I might grab one more green onion. I don't feel like peeling another onion or peeling shallots, which I could do, but I already pre-washed some green onions, and I would rather just cut the end of that off and use this instead. So this is going in the blender with our Asian pear. We're gonna put some sesame oil, that's toasted sesame oil, the last of my soy sauce. This is all going into the blender, and I realize you cannot see my blender. So I'll just put it right here. We're gonna put some regular oil in there. Now this recipe calls for gochujang or gochugaru. What is it? I think one of those is the pepper flakes before fermented. I have to find my recipe. It calls for gochujang, which is a Korean fermented red pepper paste. It's not my favorite thing, but I like sambal, which is a garlic pepper paste. So I'm gonna substitute that. I think that's a perfectly reasonable substitution. Some rice vinegar, garlic powder, garlic scape salt, black pepper. Pull my blender over closer. And then one of my new favorite things that I found at Trader Joe's is these little ginger pucks. They're frozen ginger in these little cubes. And I'm just going to pop, I think I'm gonna do all 4 of these. I think each one of those is about, yes, a teaspoon. So that's 1 tablespoon plus a teaspoon. So basically 4 teaspoons. I'm gonna get this blended up. It does call for some brown sugar. There. We did it, friend. We got all of it prepped. So I'm gonna take a few of these skewers out. I guess we're not technically done yet, but we're getting there. I still need to clean up the kitchen. I did take a second a minute ago before I pulled out this blender, and I tidied some things up. Come on. Chicken doesn't want to go on the skewer. I'm gonna go wash my hands. And now I'm gonna pour this over the top. Oh my goodness, that smells amazing. That would make a good salad dressing, I think. There we have it. All 10 marinades completely done. So I'm gonna tidy up the kitchen here. It's not gonna take me very long because I have been able to put, I'm looking for my lid. So my grandma would say if it was a snake, it would have bit me because it was right in front of me. I am going to take a second to put away the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to sanitize my countertop, sweep my floor, and then I am going to bring you back to show you all that we got done today in one spot. I got the kitchen clean. Dishwasher is running. I've got a few dirty dishes in my sink, but I'm not gonna wash those by hand. Once the dishwasher is done, those will go in the dishwasher. Okay, so over here, I have my hamburger buns that I made the other day. They're still thawing, and this is gonna go with tonight's dinner, and I'm gonna recap all the beautiful things that we made today. Over here, we have our burger patties, which this is the perfect time to prep a bunch of burgers. So this is what we're gonna have for dinner tonight. We got 8 of these A1 cheddar burgers done. I'm gonna cook 6 of them. The other 6 are gonna go in the freezer. I will ask Josh to vacuum seal them once they are frozen solid, and that will be delicious. We got, I thought we got 8, but it looks like we only got 7 of these Asian inspired burgers, which I will make a spicy sriracha aioli and a coleslaw to go on top of the burger. And if I didn't mention it yet, I will show you how I incorporate these meals into my daily life. So if you're new, consider subscribing because when I just do kind of like a day of then, and I show you kind of like a day where we might be working in the garden or something like that. We might be doing a canning project or something where the main focus is not gonna be cooking dinner, because sometimes I feel inspired and I cook a really nice dinner that day and I bring you all along for that. But sometimes I have other projects I want to get to, like cleaning and organizing. Next week I need to clean and organize and get caught up on some of those daily things that don't happen, technically daily things that need to happen, like laundry, but also I've got some big organizing and cleaning projects I need to get to. But it's been garden focus. Now this week's been cooking focus. And maybe next week I can focus on cleaning and organizing, and I can rely on my efforts today and tomorrow to get me through so we can still eat really well, homemade meals, but I don't have to cook on that day completely, if that makes any sense. These are gonna go on the grill. These are, once frozen, Josh is gonna vacuum seal those for me. We got 1 package of 6 honey mustard pork chops, 2 of our Greek inspired Parmesan chicken thighs, 1 chimichurri flank steak, which this could go burrito bowl, it could go tons of different ways I could play with this. We have 2 of our cilantro lime or lime cilantro chimichurri, whatever you want to call it, 1 flank steak, 1 chicken. We got our savory pork chops, which I'm really excited about this marinade. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a pork version of the steak kebabs. So we got 2 steak kebabs, 2 of our sun-dried tomato chicken, and 1 of our spicy Korean chicken kebabs. I'm really excited about this. I would probably, if I had enough of these, I would have put all of these in glass because I have heard that it's actually not the best to freeze in plastic. So I might invest in a few more of these. I mean, I have more, but they are being used and things. So I might invest in a few more of these. So when I do a big prep like this, I could prep all of these chicken dishes in these snap containers. Now, we're a family of 3. I typically make enough for dinner, whatever it is, a protein or a pasta dish, where we can all have one serving that day and then at least have lunch the next day, because I like to give my future self that gift. So each one of these packages has 6 chicken thighs or 6 pork chops. So I'll probably cook 6 burgers when I cook burgers. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. My goal was to get 10, but we got 16 mains done today. Now, it took me a lot longer than expected, but there was multiple times where I was stopped and Josh needed me or my family needed me, and I was doing other things. So as much as I would have liked to be able to come in here and get this all done in kind of one continuous motion, that did not happen. But I'm so grateful I got it done because the kitchen is clean now, and this is gonna be a gift for my future self. Now, if you've been here, when I do big freezer cooking days, I usually do a mixture of marinated proteins and actual like full dishes, because these obviously we would not just eat chicken by itself. We would eat chicken with green beans and rice, or pasta, or potatoes, or whatever type of veggie. Usually we have a protein and a veggie for sure, and then most of the time we have a protein, a veggie, and a starch. And so these take a little bit more work because I usually make 2 sides to go along with it. And I didn't make any sort of casseroles or any like 100% ready to go in the oven, and that's the entire dinner, and then maybe a side salad on the side. And that's because tomorrow I'm going to my mom's house and I'm doing a big old freezer cooking day. Now, the majority of those are actually gonna be gifts because we have a family member who is in need of some meals. But this is what I'm excited about because this is how we enjoy eating in the summer. We like a lot of grilled protein with fresh veggies. And in the summer, I'm usually a little less likely to do a starch because we have so much fresh veggies coming in from the garden that we do really like to focus on enjoying those fresh veggies when they come in from the garden. But if you want to see how I do other types of things and you're new, consider subscribing. If you've been here before, you know what you're in for tomorrow because I'm going to be at my mom's house all day. So I'm going to get all of this in the freezer. I'm going to show you what dinner looks like coming off the grill. I don't know if I'm going to do a side. We might just have burgers and that's it tonight. I do have some sweet potatoes I could throw in the oven, but I don't know if I want to do. I don't know if I want to do that. Josh just came in here and he's hungry, and so I know that if I was to grill up these burgers right now, he would be willing to eat. And so I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm tired. I've got to get all of my recipes and ready to go to my mom's house tomorrow. And thanks for being here. If you want to watch some more videos, let me pop some meal prep videos there. You can go enjoy between now and the next upload. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I appreciate every single one of you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend.